Well, that monopoly thing is created for a reason. When we have a big project we want to undertake, we assign a monopoly. This has happened before in the railroads, where we gave the railroads a granted monopoly because no one company wanted to develop land. It was too big an undertaking, but it was for the public good. And a lot of times there's jobs that people don't want. So the Department of the Interior or the Department of Transport makes roads. Nobody wants the roads, so someone's got to make them. So we give those guys a monopoly. No one complains, gee, I wish I could make the roads. No, we all know we need the roads. It's a taxed good. And so that's why the Department of Transportation does this stuff. And for a long time, IT was stuff nobody wanted either. So because nobody's going to fix paper jams, no one says, boy, I really want that paper jam fixing business. We said IT is a monopoly. We'll give them control over these systems in return for them doing this job that needs to get done, but it's hard to bill for and it's not a public good. It's always very hard to get money back from these kinds of undertakings. Unless you have like a toll booth at a bridge, it's very hard to monetize your monopoly. And the best example of monopolies that we're probably familiar with is the public phone system, AT&T and the breakup of the baby bells. For a long time, AT&T was actually granted a government monopoly. It was a legally sanctioned monopoly. But after a few decades, we started to realize that there were other ways of communicating. Having one company own everything stifled innovation. So the Department of Justice stepped in and they broke up AT&T into a bunch of baby bells, and hopefully we got more competition. So at first monopoly is good, and then monopoly becomes bad. Now remember, we landed on the moon with the computing equivalent of a speak and spell. Think about that. Remember the little speak and spell ET thing, right? That's how much computing we had to land on the moon. Pretty awesome. Today, we got more computing than that on our hip. A kid can use a computer. A friend of mine's daughter was sitting down with a photograph, a physical photograph, and she looked at it, and she pinched, and she swiped, and it didn't do anything, so she left. That picture was dysfunctional. It didn't work. It was broken. Kids assume that kind of stuff. Computing power is free, ubiquitous, cheap, and easy. So computing is really easy to do, and because computers are very powerful, it's trivial for us to take a computer and make it easy to operate, right? Because the computer's got so much excess power. We can just reach out and click something. We don't need a lot of training on how to use applications. And so that's changed things a lot because now IT is sort of the social lubricant for us to use applications. If you think about the car industry, once upon a time it was okay to sell a car and say you can have any color you want as long as it's black, the Model T Ford model. Today, the IT user is in the driver's seat. The consumer is bringing more technology into the office on their hip than they ever did before. This is an example of just how commoditized computing is. This is Amazon's cloud exchange. It's a spot market for cloud computing instances. And the two spikes you can see in here are the price of computing by the minute, by the hour, in December and in February. You can buy a spot market of computing. It's about 4 cents an hour. It goes up to around 8 cents an hour at Valentine's Day. That's an incredibly commoditized difference from that Cray that you saw that had 16 megs of memory that was so expensive that we had to hire people to punch cards in and work at terminals, right? And it's even easier than that because there are tools that let non-coders build applications, dragging and dropping them. I mean, you may never have set up a piece of programming language, but you've probably configured a Facebook page and set up WordPress, and that's actually a lot more computing than most people have ever done. So what's happening here is this real shift where in the past, IT chose the hardware, mainframes or whatever. Then they chose the platforms that were running on them, the operating systems. They chose what applications you were going to have, and that's what the users had to deal with. And we're turning that on its head. Users are saying, I now have a set of problems I want to solve. Here are the applications I want. Hey, IT, go choose platforms. And IT may or may not get to choose the hardware that runs on.